The World War II field gadget that outsmarted the cold better than any modern heater. Some tricks don't fade with time. They sit quietly in the background of history, waiting to remind us that survival doesn't always come from fancy gear or high-tech tools. Sometimes the smartest solutions are the old ones. And in the frozen frontline camps of World War II, there was one little field gadget that proved it. Soldiers swore by it. Engineers respected it. And today it still outperforms many modern heaters in raw efficiency, simplicity and reliability. Let's dive straight into it, because this one deserves the spotlight. The strange part is that this gadget wasn't designed to look cool or feel impressive. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't big, it wasn't even loud. It was just a rugged, compact heat source that could run in brutal conditions with barely any fuel. Soldiers didn't just use it, they depended on it. And that alone tells you everything about how powerful it truly was. World War II had no mercy on soldiers dealing with freezing nights, wet uniforms and icy trenches. Cold didn't just make things uncomfortable. It shut bodies down. It slowed reaction time. It drained morale. Hypothermia could wipe out more men than enemy fire if you weren't prepared. Enter the tiny field stove that changed the game. It worked off simple fuel, produced steady heat, and was rugged enough to survive being thrown into a pack, dropped on rocks, dragged through mud, or buried in snow. Even with numb fingers and low visibility, you could get it running. That alone made it worth its weight in gold. But what really put it in a league of its own was how efficiently it converted fuel into heat. Modern portable heaters often struggle with cold, wind, altitude and moisture. This little World War II workhorse didn't care about any of that. It burned clean, it burned hot, and it burned long. For soldiers, that meant food warmed faster, water boiled quicker, and frostbite stayed further away. The genius wasn't in complicated engineering. It was in the mindset. Build something small, build something strong, build something any soldier could repair with whatever was available. The gadget used a pressurized fuel system that forced vapor through burners, creating a strong, focused flame. That system allowed it to work even when temperatures dropped so low modern gas canisters would fail. Soldiers could heat tents, thaw stuck equipment, dry socks, and melt ice for drinking water. Better yet, you could fold it up and carry it in one hand. That portability was priceless. In World War II, mobility was survival. You never wanted gear that slowed you down. This thing slipped into a pack without drawing attention, yet when the cold hit, it delivered like a full-sized heater. This is why it kept outperforming anything larger, heavier, or more complicated. To really understand why this gadget earned so much respect, you need to picture the conditions it faced. Wind blasting through thin canvas shelters, mud freezing into armor-hard layers, snow melting during the day and refreezing overnight. Everything was working against the soldiers. But this heater flipped the situation in their favor. It didn't just provide heat, it provided control. When everything around you is unpredictable, even a small pocket of warmth feels like regaining power over the environment. This stove gave soldiers a way to fight back against the cold. It allowed them to stay functional, stay alert, and stay alive. In many units, it became as essential as ammunition. Commanders even allocated extra fuel to ensure troops could keep them running. That's the kind of reputation you can only earn through real use in real danger. The crazy thing is that even today, outdoor experts, explorers, and hardcore survivalists still track down restored versions of this World War II heater. Not for nostalgia, not for collecting, but because it actually works better than many modern equivalents. It lights fast. It stays lit. It handles extreme conditions like nothing else. And it does all that using minimal resources. If you're stuck in a cold emergency, the last thing you want is a heater that needs perfect conditions. This thing doesn't need perfect anything. It's the definition of dependable. That's why you'll find people still using it on winter expeditions, mountain treks, and Arctic training exercises. Something built in the 1940s is still outperforming gear built with modern technology. That's not luck. That's engineering with purpose. Even modern camping stoves, still struggle to hit the efficiency levels this gadget pulled off right on the battlefield. And it wasn't because it relied on any hyped-up technology. No, it relied on physics. Use vapor pressure. Focus the flame. Minimize heat loss. Maximize fuel burn. Simple. Direct. Brutally effective. A single fill, honestly, could run for a long time, producing consistent heat without fluctuating or sputtering. That was a big deal during World War II, since fuel just wasn't always available. Every drop mattered. Every flame mattered. And this thing made sure you got the most out of both. That fuel efficiency also made it, incredibly quiet. Soldiers could warm up or cook without giving away their position. It was heat without attention, power without noise, a luxury in war, and a real lifesaver in survival. If you strip away the uniforms and boots and battlefield context, the lesson behind this heater is actually pretty simple. High-tech doesn't always win. Reliability does. Modern survival gear is just full of features, screens, sensors, modes, buttons. But when the cold really bites hard and everything around you freezes, the only thing that matters is whether the device in your hand actually works. This gadget worked. Every time, in every condition, without excuses. And that's why, honestly, it deserves a comeback. Not as nostalgia, not as a collector's trophy, but as a reminder that smart design plus rugged simplicity equals survival. For a channel like Legacy of Survival, this story really hits at the core of what we talk about. Real survival isn't about fancy branding. It's about skills, mindset, and having gear you can trust even when everything goes wrong. The soldiers of World War II didn't have many luxuries, but they had this heater, and it proved that the most powerful survival tools are often the smallest. It's a reminder that toughness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it hums softly inside a metal shell and keeps you alive through the coldest night. This little World War II field stove wasn't just a gadget. It was a frontline partner, a quiet guardian, a piece of equipment that outsmarted the cold with nothing but clever engineering and relentless reliability. Even now, it stands as proof that great design doesn't age. If you love stories like this and want more real survival wisdom pulled from history, make sure you subscribe to Legacy of Survival. Share the video too. It helps the channel grow and keeps these powerful lessons alive.